Presented in cooperation with your school authorities by Atlantic Richfield Company.
New Year's Day, and in the Cotton Bowl, one of the most bizarre plays in football history. Alabama's Tommy Lewis jumps off the bench and tackles Dick Magle of Rice. Confusion reigns as Lewis returns to the bench, but the officials rule the play a touchdown, and Rice goes on to rout Alabama 28-6. In Indochina, French planes and pilots airdrop food and supplies for the desperate defenders of the jungle outpost of Dien. 40,000 communist troops surround the isolated garrison as political leaders in Washington debate whether or not to send United States troops to Indochina. Speaking against American involvement, a freshman senator from Massachusetts, John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
The reason why the war in Indochina has not had the support of the people of that area and the people of Asia has been that the French have maintained too great a degree of control over the lives of the people. Indochina is an ancient French colony, and even though the French have made gradual concessions to the people, their control is still paramount. And therefore, the communists under Ho Chi Minh are able to claim that they are fighting for independence, and the French appear to be fighting for a maintenance of colonial rule. I therefore believe that before the United States moves in any degree, that independence must be granted to the people, that the people must support the struggle, because unless, as I said, that support is forthcoming, any intervention by the United States is bound to be futile.
In Korea, the guns are silent as Marilyn Monroe comes to entertain American servicemen, keeping the peace along the 38th parallel. For G.I. Joe, this January, something to write home about. A week later, America's First Lady, Mamie Eisenhower, helps make history as she launches the nuclear-powered submarine Nautilus, destined one day to sail under the North Pole. Former President Harry Truman relaxes in 1954, playing a duet with James Petrillo, president of the American Federation of Musicians, and later receiving a souvenir microphone from news commentator H.V. Kaltenborn.
In January 1949, the President was asked to imitate Mr. Kaltenborn. Mr. Kaltenborn will now imitate the President imitating Mr. Kaltenborn. And these were the words. While the President is 1,000,000 votes ahead, this vote represents only the country districts, and when we hear from the city vote, we will find that Thomas E. Dewey has been elected President of the United States.
Thank you, Mr. Kaltenborn. And I shall treasure this microphone as long as
March 1st. 5 congressmen are shot and seriously wounded on the floor of the House of Representatives by a group of Puerto Rican nationalists demanding independence for the island Commonwealth. The terrorists seated in the House gallery fire more than 20 shots from handguns small enough to fit into a woman's purse. Each attacker receives a long prison term, and the wounded congressmen recover in the aftermath of one of the bloodiest episodes in congressional history. Later that month, Supreme Court Justice Douglas leads newsmen on a 190-mile hike. Their route is a nature trail threatened by a new superhighway. The justice wins his point. The route is changed. In April, the beginning of the end of the McCarthy era. A Senate committee hears the Secretary of the Army, Robert Stevens, denies Senator McCarthy's charges that his department is soft on communism.
I want to make it clear that the United States Army does not coddle communists. This committee knows that. The American people know that.
Next, Senator McCarthy in a dramatic confrontation with Joseph Welch, Army Counsel.
I thought we should just call to your attention the fact that you're Mr. Fisher, who is still in your law firm today, whom you asked to have down here looking over the secret and classified material, is a member of an organization not named by me, but named by various committees, named by the Attorney General, as I recall. I think I quote this verbatim as the legal bulwark of the Communist Party.
Little did I dream you could be so reckless and so cruel as to do an injury to that lad. If it were in my power to forgive you for your reckless cruelty, I would do so. I like to think I'm a gentleman, but your forgiveness will have to come from someone other than me.
After 2 million words of testimony, McCarthy's charges are unproven. Late in April, one of the largest inoculation programs in medical history. The Salk anti-polio vaccine is administered to 1 million children. When results are confirmed, polio is conquered. May 6th, a British medical student, Roger Bannister, earned sports immortality, the first man to break the legendary 4-minute barrier, running a mile in 3 minutes, 59 and 4/10 seconds. Bannister has pushed himself to the limit of physical endurance, but he speaks modestly of his epic achievement.
Roger, do you think you're going to be knighted?
Good gracious me.
I beg your pardon?
Good gracious me, I'm sure I'm not.
Well, the mountain climbers are. How about a terrific race like this? Do you think you'd deserve it?
I'm sure I don't. I mean, it's something which is, there's no particular merit in what one happens to run. It's just that I happen to have a particular shape and physique and happen to have been lucky. There's no particular merit in it.
Would you be surprised if you were knighted?
Well, I think that it's a silly question.
Courage of a different sort is found on the golf course, where Mildred Babe Zaharias, an Olympic champion and all-round athlete, returns to competition after a cancer operation. The irrepressible Babe wins the U.S. Women's Open Championship by a record-breaking 12 strokes and remembers another time, another place.
I laid in the bed and I says, "Please, God, let me play again." And he answered my prayer. And I want to thank God for letting me win again. It's really wonderful.
The first jet transport plane built in the United States takes to the air in July. The Boeing 707 revolutionizes aviation travel, carrying more passengers, greater distances, at higher speeds than ever before. The Red Star flies in Hanoi in August. The communists have defeated the French in Indochina and enter the capital city of North Vietnam. Now, Ho Chi Minh can look south of the 17th parallel to the unification of all of Vietnam. In America, a legend is born as a 24-year-old golfer wins the U.S. Men's Amateur Championship. The first of more than 60 amateur and professional titles that make him one of the most popular players of his time, Arnold Palmer. Fame and fortune also are waiting for the winner of the annual Miss America beauty pageant in Atlantic City, a 19-year-old California girl dreaming of a career in show business, Lee Ann Merriweather. Vic Wertz of the Cleveland Indians will always remember the 1954 World Series and the amazing catch by Willie Mays that robs him of the winning hit in the opening game. Manager Leo DeRocher of the New York Giants calls on Dusty Rhodes to pinch hit, and he stuns pitcher Bob Lemon and the Indians with an extra inning home run that just reaches the right field stands and bounces back on the field. Willie Mays, the Say Hey Kid, is the happiest giant in sight as the Indians, winners of a record-breaking 111 games during the regular season, are swept in 4 straight. In Cairo, members of a children's militia pass in review before Gamal Abdel Nasser. The idol of his people, the Egyptian strongman, negotiates British evacuation of the Suez Canal zone, a new page in Anglo-Egyptian relations. Once, Britain had 80,000 troops in Egypt. Now, after 72 years, that occupation ends. For Alger Hiss, too, the end and the beginning. The former State Department official was convicted in 1950 of lying under oath about his friendship with Whittaker Chambers and their membership in a communist spy ring. Top secret documents found in a hollowed-out pumpkin on Chambers' Maryland farm were crucial evidence in the Hiss conviction. Preserved on microfilm, the pumpkin papers catapulted a California Congressman Richard Nixon into national prominence. Now, after serving 44 months in a federal prison, Alger Hiss is released and begins a lifelong crusade to prove his innocence.
I hope that the return of the mere man will help to dispel the myth. I have only one other thing I would like to say at this time, and that is that I shall renew my effort to dispel the deception that has been foisted on the American people.
Sir Winston Churchill, the man who made history and wrote history for more than half a century, is honored on his 80th birthday in November 1954. Gifts include a portrait that Lady Churchill later will have destroyed, and that Sir Winston himself will describe in his own inimitable tongue-in-cheek style.
The portrait is a remarkable example of modern art.
In Washington, a Senate committee recommends censure for Joseph McCarthy. Supporting the action is the man fated one day to investigate Watergate, Senator Sam Ervin.
The issue before the American people is simply this. Does the Senate of the United States have enough manhood to stand up to Senator McCarthy?
McCarthy becomes the 4th senator in history to be disciplined. Committee Chairman Watkins comments, McCarthy replies.
The action of the Senate speaks for itself, and there isn't anything I can add to that.
I am very happy to have this circus ended so that we can get back to the work of digging out communism, corruption, treason in government. That job will start officially Monday morning after 10 months of forced inaction.
In December, riding a rocket-powered sled mounted on rails, Air Force Colonel John Paul Stapp sets a land speed record of 632 miles an hour. Colonel Stapp's face is contorted by gravitational pressure as the sled is braked to a stop. The same pressure that astronauts will experience a decade later as they return to Earth from flights into space. At year's end, Americans get a glimpse of a futuristic home where cordless lamps operate by electronic units hidden under the floor. A television camera watches children at play. And the kitchen is a homemaker's delight. Push-button cabinets and gadgets galore make cooking an electronic adventure. A magnetic field, not magic, keeps the frying pan in air and breakfast cooking in 1954's Home of Tomorrow.